Hi boys and girls, can't wait to see you all back at the classes, but now we're going to do some videos and have some fun. So today we're going to do something quite easy. And just a wee introduction to myself, if anybody doesn't know me. My name's Bryan and I work for the South Lanarkshire Council and for Leisure and Culture at the Art Centre. So I do quite a lot of the arts and crafts classes, and we're going to do some demonstrations, and I know you just love the demonstrations, so get your materials out and we'll get started, and we'll do something nice and easy. It's just a little flower field. It actually looks more like a poppy field, but you can start adding as many flowers at the end if you like. Okay, so we'll get started. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to tell you what you're going to need in your palette. So I've got a little spare palette here just to do some mixing, to show you how to mix some of the colours. You can do that if you like. And this is your basic palette. So you always have quite a load of white because you mix that with quite a lot of things. So this is titanium white, and this is acrylic, by the way, but you can use oils or anything else that you like as well. So this is your white for mixing. And for the poppies and a lot of the background, you're going to be using these are nice soft pastel colours mixed with the white. So we're going to be using Serenium Blue and a nice kind of minty green. That's lovely. That's this here when it's mixed with the white. And we've got two different kinds of reds. Now you might only have one red in your set of paints. This is crimson red, which is a nice deep red, but if I want to make a lighter red and I don't have a lighter red in my set, I would just use yellow into the red, and that'll give me a nice brighter red. Because you can see on the poppies, sometimes you get darker reds and brighter reds for highlights and so on. Okay, so you can do that. And I've also got burnt umber. So I'll just go through these all the way around here. This is Payne's Grey. This is for doing some of the darker stems and things like that. That's your Serenium Blue. There's only one blue that we'll be using here. And this is your lemon. And this is a nice minty green. This is called fallow green. And this is crimson red and a lighter red. You could make your own red if you want. And this is burnt umber. Okay, so that's all you should need for this picture. Now, the brushes, you'll probably have something like this. These four brushes I tend to just work with in nearly any picture. You can start and finish a whole picture just with them. You might not even use the small one. So I'll start from that. That was just for detail, a wee small pointy one. And this is what I call my magic brush. I use this for drawing all the picture out and the stems and the layout and so forth. And it's also good for detail and creating some nice leaves and things as well. And now these are all quite smooth brushes, the smaller ones. This is a round brush, and this is good for doing some of the flowers. This is quite a popular brush. Now you can go from, I'm not going to say the sizes, but just roughly, because different brand names put different sizing on them. But you can go from like a 10 to 12 or a 6. These are quite popular with flowers. So if you've only got that, that's absolutely fine. If you've only got that, that's absolutely fine. Just work between them. So as I say, they're quite smooth brushes and they're good for detail and blending and smoothing things in. This is your big brush. This is more a brittly brush. You'll feel it's a bit more brittly. And that's like, I'll not tell you the number it's on that because it's just the brand name. They're just varying sizing. But you're looking for like a number 10 and it's about an inch wide and it's quite brittly. That's really good for applying all the background, and because it's nice and big, it does it nice and quick as well, okay? So we'll probably be using that for all the background. Okay, so we're going to just get started now and we'll have a bit of fun. Just take your time and we'll have a bit of fun getting the background in. It doesn't have to be exact same as that, but we'll get as near as we can. And we've just got some water and some tissues. Okay. So this is my big brush here, and I'm going to be using white, but you won't see the white on the board. So I'm just going to use a bit of lemon in that so that you can see it. And I'm just going to throw some colours about all over the place like that. Put my water over here a bit more. Once I start getting some blues and things into this, you'll start to see it more. So you want to get the board covered as much as you can all over. And I'm going to just use some white with a little bit of Serenium blue just to give me a nice pale blue. And just keep that separate from the yellow now, otherwise you'll get green. And it's okay to get green because we're going to pale it all down anyway. You want to use as much white as you can, keep it nice and pale. The paler that is, the nicer your flowers come up anyway, so that'll be quite nice. Now, I'm going to use loads of white here. I'm putting the white on really quite thick now because what I want to do is when I get that white on nice and thick, I'm going to dip into this phthalo green, and it's just a wee spot because it's really strong. You'll see this when I put it on. So you're just kind of throwing it about anywhere on the board, anywhere you want it. Nice kind of aqua tones. And try and sort of go around in circles with your brush because that fills in all the grains of the board and it gives you nice coverage, and then you don't end up with any bare bits on the board. Okay. If you see any kind of lines like that, it's okay to have them, but you can blend them in a little bit with a sponge or a tissue, or just do a wee bit of that. Sometimes when you get lines or impressions on it, that's just your brush being a wee bit on the wet side, but that's fine. Absolutely fine to do that. So a lot more white here. White's always your base colour, and when you're doing pastel tones, especially skies, white's great to do first so that you can actually mix your colours straight on the palette, onto the board, rather than trying to mix them on the palette. Because if you've got white as a base, your colours will show up really nice and easy, and you get them much quicker. So I'm going to go for another little bit of that pale green. This little sort of minty green. It'll be a wee bit stronger maybe on the bottom. So you see that sits nice on top of your white, and it's easy to get the colour you're looking for because you've already got white down. Now I don't need white at the bottom because it's much darker down there, and if I put white down there I wouldn't get them as dark as that. It would be too. It would just mess them up really. So you don't want light down the bottom. You want to leave a wee bit. So some of this light that's in here, there's another little colour that's shown. Just before I do it, I'm just going to go a wee bit lighter up the top with the white, because I don't want it all looking sort of minty green. I want to get some nice lights in it and a little bit more blue. So. And you'll see when you start putting another colour on it, that will just enhance this colour even more. I'm just going to put a little bit of blue. And that's kind of sitting on top of that white I've just done, so that'll work in quite nicely. You see, it shows up your yellow and it shows up the green a wee bit more as well. So you don't want anything too dark, so remember, just keep that light coming through as much as you can. It just makes it all look nice pastel-y tones, and it gives a bit of distance as well. So you can just have a bit of fun doing that, and just make sure that all the wee grains of your board is all filled in. Now I'd mentioned there's another colour there. I'm just going to stick with my big brush here and I'll show you how to mix. There's a wee lilac-y tone, I don't know if you can see it. A wee sort of lilac-y tone. Lilac-y tones do all sorts of good things to your picture. They create distance, mist, shine, everything that's so good. So I'm going to, and it's a nice balance with your pastel tones as well. So I'm going to take some white here, and I'm going to take a bit of crimson and a bit of the blue. So I'm going to blend them in a bit. More pink in it, I think. And I'm going to put my white into that now. So that's a nice wee sort of lilac-y, misty looking colour. There'll be a bit more white. So once this is out here, you can just add, if you want your lilac looking a bit more bluish, just use a bit more blue, and that's nice and powdery. If you want it to look a bit more pink, always add a bit of white with the pink because it's quite strong. Just blend that in, and then you can mix the two together. So that gives you a nice variation of some different lilac there, okay? So what I'm going to do now is just where I've got wee gaps of light there. Well, that's quite dark. See, it always looks darker when you put it on your palette. But if you add wee bits of white with that. Now, what I can do with that as well is just because the paint underneath's wet, I can blend it in a wee bit more. So this white's still kind of wet, so it's quite nice for blending. But if it's dry, just add a bit more white and just kind of blend it in a little bit. It almost just looks like a distant sky or out of focus field. So it doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it's nice, a nice blend of colour. And you can even do wee scrapings like that almost look like grass. And that's quite nice with a big brush as well. So that kind of fills in some areas for you. So I'm going to go a wee bit more with this nice minty colour because I quite like that. And I'll just clean up my brush. If it's too dark, just keep adding white. And just, that's good. See, that colour's good for breaking down some of the blues and things as well. So we'll keep that going. And I'm just kind of, I don't like wasting the paint, so I just kind of use it on my board and I'll go back and I'll do things over the top of it. So there's it's going to be nice big stalks and things there, so you can do that. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the minty green there, which is quite nice. I'm just going to clean this brush and I'll get a little bit of the mint green there. So you can do this kind of thing as well. Now the brush it's not soaking, but it's fairly wet. And that sort of spaces the brush out a wee bit so you get nice wee impressions of leaves and things as well. So that's a good wee start. Okay, you can mix some of them in a little bit. I might get another tiny wee bit of the lemon there. Just about every pastel colour, I just add white into it just to keep it nice and misty and pale. So just soften that a wee bit. Okay, right, so I'm just going to take everything light off this brush now and I'm going to go in and do some of my darker base tones at the bottom. That gives me a nice base and then I can start the flowers. Okay, so just have a bit of fun doing that and you can go back and add more lights in it as well. Whatever you like, it's your picture, this is just an idea that I'm giving you. So I'm just going to wet the brush a bit and I'm going to take that nice phthalo green and some Payne's Grey. The Payne's Grey is like a made up colour, comes straight out the tube. It's like black and white with a bit of blue in it. So I don't actually need to add blue, but you can if you like. You can, I'll show you it with and without it. So this is it without the blue. So what I'm going to do is just take my brush and be really generous putting that colour on at the bottom, like that. Loads of Payne's Grey, because the green's really strong. Now I'm going to show you what that looks like if I put a wee bit of blue in it. It just varies it a wee bit. So if I go like that now and add the blue into that mix, there you go, that's quite nice as well. So take it right to the bottom of your board, don't have any bare bits on your board, take it right to the bottom. This is nice for framing the board, it makes it look that you're looking into the view as well. So a bit more Payne's Grey. Keeps it nice and dark. So this time I'm going to use Payne's Grey, green and the blue and just slap it all on there nice and thick. And just, your brush is like a line there, so if you just kind of do that, it'll go in between some of the colours and it shows little bits of light, which is quite nice. So just completely cover it in there. And just take the edge of your brush. Now, you need to wet it a wee bit to do this. So just take the edge of the brush and just, I'm taking it up quite far at the side there. Just to almost like frames the wee view. And that's just a nice dark base, and then I'll start putting lighter tones on that. But the darker that base is, the better for showing up all your nice different tones of green and everything in there, okay? So, just to get a wee start on that, I would let that dry a wee bit. Sometimes it's good for putting things in when it's wet. For instance, this is a wee flat brush, this is your wee 1/2 inch brush. If I take yellow there and white, which is quite strong, I can go straight on there and just start putting, look at wee bases. They'll not be pure yellow now because it's picking up the green, but it's quite good because cross them over different ways like that as well. And if you have the brush a wee bit wetter this time, just a wee bit more yellow, a wee bit stronger, you can actually dot them like that first and then pull them. See? You get more of the colour. You just kind of dot, dot, dot and then pull it. See? And that fills in. It gives you all the different sort of tones of green, so that's just a wee start to that. One of the other colours that's quite nice, but I think I put it on when I was nearly finished. I went in with wee bits of lilac through there as well. And there's wee thistles and things, lilac going through there as well, so that will soften all that. It looks a wee bit harsh, that bit now, but that will get softened. So, back to my wee drawing brush, just use a Payne's grey. You can maybe use the yellow. This actually acts as a nice green because the Payne's grey, as I say, has got blue in it, and when that touches yellow, it goes kind of greeny, see that? So we'll just have this a wee bit wetter. Now, I have to sit down to do this one. You can't get them so even because your brush opens up too much, so just kind of take them from there. And it doesn't matter if it misses wee bits now. Just keep your brush fairly wet. So it's quite good if you start off with like a little dotty bit like that first, and then you can add white down here for the dark bit so that it really shows up. So you can do it like a sort of dotty thick one first, and then go back and just smooth it out, and that's how you get them like thicker, okay? And then you can cross them over. The idea is to keep everything overlapping all the time, right? So that's just keeping that a wee bit bigger. Right, I didn't put the stems in first before I put the flowers in. I put the flowers in and then added the stems. So we'll get right in and do some flowers now. Now, you could use the big brush to start with. So I'm using two flat brushes. That's the big one and the smaller one. And I'm just going to clean this water a wee bit so that I've not got green in my flowers. So I'll clean that one and just clean that one as well. All right, so I'll show you two different ways that you can do the flowers. You can draw them out with this if you like, and I'll show you that, or you can just go straight in and do them with that. So we'll take the deep red first. Just say we were doing that one there, which is, just watch where you're putting, try not to place anything bang in the centre because your eye will just go straight to the one in the centre. Try and scatter them about a wee bit. So we'll keep one fairly low there. So there's like a wee cup, upside down cup, and that's filled in red. Right. And then you can draw it where you've got like some of the petals going like that. These will go in different colours in a wee while. And then just going to get that cup filled in a wee bit more. Fill that in, and then you've got a wee bit more out going that way. Now, I'm going to use the side of the brush, and that draws the petal. and that petal's going to come right round. That's the centre there, I've put the centre in. If you like, you can use your smaller brush and you can just put a wee bit of your Payne's Grey in the centre, just so that you know where you're going with that. That kind of gives you an idea where you're going. So that means you can bring the petals from the centre out like that, and then sometimes you can go like this. Now, you can have your two reds made up. I've got two separate reds here, but if you've only got one red in your set, maybe make another one up with some yellow so that you've got a nice bright one. So you can take that bright one and do this. Take it from the centre, right out, like that. Okay. Now we can go back and do some more detail to that. Don't have your brush too dry either, or you'll not get the effect that you're looking for. So this, where the light's on that'll be a bit lighter. And that'll be a wee bit darker. And I've still got a wee bit dark on my wee tiny brush, so you can spread some of that dark out a wee bit, and you can mix it even with some of your colours, and then you can go back in with some of the lighter red coming from the bottom end, like that. But we'll go back on that one. Take your wee dark bit there just to show that that wee cup's bending over there. Okay, you can do that. So that's one in, but we'll go back and do some detail on that. You can also do a wee overlap. What you can do, that wee petal overlapping that one there, like that. And then we can go back and fill that in with some colours. So I'm going to go back to my crimson red there. And since this is a darker side here, it's going with the darker red. And that shows up the lighter one better, okay? So we'll go back in and do the stems later on. Now this is just, only did one big one up here, I'll do that. And the rest is just, you can put in as many or as little as you want of the others. A lot of the wee ones are just like wee butterflies, they're just like wee impressions of flowers, so I'll just show you that as well. So this is a big one here, so I'm still using my wee drawing brush, and I'll just use the darker red just to start with. So there's like a wee sort of half moon upside down there, like that, just to show that one. As I say, this one's quite big. So some of my underpaint might be a wee bit damp, so it's maybe better doing it when it's a wee bit drier so it doesn't pick up any colours underneath. You want nice strong reds. Okay. So I'm still using my wee pointy brush, and I'll just do a wee sort of mark just to show where the centre is. And it's good to get that in first, because if you get that in, you've got an idea where the direction you're putting your petals. Okay, so I'm going to the other side now, and I'm going to do a big petal up that way. And it's going to get a bit lighter around there. I just want to. When you put a second layer on, it makes it a wee bit darker as well. Now I'm going to get into my brighter red here. And I'm going to just introduce some of the lighter one there. And the same that side there as well. Now what you can do there is, this is still a wee bit wet, you can mix some of the shadows into the darker areas there, like that. And you can go back with your wee brush and put a fresh, pretty dark in there. And just clean your brush, and you can stick a couple of wee bits of yellow in there as well. Doesn't need to be that noticeable, but it just gives you the centre piece of that. Now I can go back with the darker colour here, and I can exaggerate that one a bit more. That's like the big petal. So you can come from the other end like that now and bring it down like that. And then you can bring some of these reds just coming in, but not totally covering the lighter red. It gives you a nice variation and a nice wee bit. Okay, so there's just different ways of doing that. We'll keep this as a dark one at the bottom. We'll bring that round a wee bit nicer there. It's nice to leave a wee gap. Okay, so that's that one on. Now, a lot of the wee ones in the background, they're almost just like wee butterflies. You can just do like one going that way, and one going that way, and that just looks like a wee one in the background. Now if you use the very corner of the brush, you can do that in a smaller bit like that, just almost looks like a wee bird pattern. So just do them different ways, like maybe one up like that, and one like that, and that just looks like wee flowers in the background. You can do a few of them and tiny ones in the background, and then you could maybe do, I mean, usually you get like 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 kind of big ones that's a wee bit more detailed, and then the rest are just all kind of loose. So sometimes, like that one there, sometimes you just get a wee upside down cup, like that. You can't see it all. And then you might just get like the petal coming out that way, and you don't actually see much of the flower because it's upside down. And then you might get another one like this here, where it's, see the shape of the brush actually creates the petals. You can go back and make wee feathery bits if you like, or just do them at different angles like that. So that's the lighter red I think I used there. Might even mind now. I'll leave a wee gap there, and I'll just come down here and put that petal down there. Now, if I use my tiny wee brush for the Payne's Grey in the middle, that just lets you see that that one's going that way. And if you take your thumb and just very gently drop into it like that, that shows you the shape of the cup. And then just come down there again, that shows you another wee bit of that. And that, so that's like, it's split open a wee bit. Now I can take the brighter red now and show a wee bit more of that. And then I can take the brighter red again and just do a tiny wee bit there. And that sort of shows that one up as well. Alright, so we've got quite a few of those ones that look like wee butterflies. So just kind of do one that way and one that way. I mean, it really doesn't matter, we can just go in and try and use different colours on them as well. Like they two look the same there, but if I darken one, it can make that one look better as well. So you're just doing lots of wee things like that. There's a wee bit on that one. Sometimes you get like a wee cup. Now that one there, I think there's like a wee cup going up that way. Don't want to do them all too big. That one there's like a wee cup going that way. And then I think it had one just overlapping. So it's like a wee block, falls down that way. And if I keep something dark in the middle there, that shows me that that's the middle. And that gives you an idea where you're putting the other cup. So we go to the middle again and stick one up that way. And then maybe pull this one down further than that so it looks like a drop petal that's going down that way. So you just got all sorts of different ones going on like that. And just get a few different ones. Mine get the wee centre bit first and it gives you an idea where to put the rest. And remember, use your two tones, your lighter one. Not on all of it, but just on some of it, like that. Okay, and you can go back and add wee bits. That could be the centre of that, but you might have that petal sort of coming over there to overlap it. Makes it look a wee bit more convincing. And then another wee bit of dark in this one to show that this one's underneath. You can add a wee bit of the dark grey into that because there's blue in it and it'll make it look purpley. That's in the shade, that bit. So there's lots of wee bits like that going on, and just kind of put wee dark bits in them and wee light bits like that. Right, I'll go back and do some more of the poppies, but I think what I'll do now is I'll show you how to do some of the wee thistles. So you can use your wee pointy brush for this one just to sort of draw them out. Right, So these are quite easy. So we're going to mix up a wee bit darker purple this time. So I'm going to take the blue, quite a lot of it, and a bit of the red. And we want quite a nice purple. So mix that up with a bigger brush for quickness. So there's a nice purple there, okay? In fact, this is quite a good brush just for doing the wee sort of round bits first. So you might get a wee bit like that, one like that, and one like that. Now, you can use the small brush to create like a wee stem, if you like. And then I'm just going to clean my small brush. This is the smallest brush. I'm just going to use a little bit of white. And on top of that being wet, just watch your other flowers are drying. I'm just going to sort of put a wee bit of that, sort of drag it. So I'm pulling up the purple at the same time. Now they don't need to be too detailed. So that's a couple there, and I'll interrupt them with other stems and things like that. So I might have like a bigger one there, make it nice and round, that one. And then I might put some of the white there, and then go back into the purple and drag it through it quite wispy. You can use a fan brush for this and all sorts of things. And sometimes there's a wee kind of kiss-curve thing going on in this to make them a bit rounder. And then we'll get in there with the green stem later on. So you can do quite a few of them. So a nice kind of round brush to start with. Put the paint on quite chunky. And then get the white. These are just a vague impression of them. You can do them much more detailed than this, but it would take you longer, but you can do that if you like. And then you can clean the brush, get a wee bit more white. And the white makes them look a wee bit more wispy. And then sort of do a wee sort of kiss-cross there. And then a wee stem. So we'll go back and do more of them. So there's loads of them up there, but you're better getting them the white in right away. And then you've got these other things. Can't remember the right name of these. I think they're described like cow pat or something like that. So what you could do here, just those wee kind of feathery things that you see. So you just kind of do this. Just take one up like that, and it sort of fans out like that. It's almost like doing wee branches. And then after you get the dark bits in, you don't even need to clean the brush, just take the white and put wee bits of white. There's quite a few of them going on as well. You can even add wee bits of green in later on as well. Right, so we'll start again with the dark. That's the dark grey. I'll show you a wee bit of green in this as well. I can put some yellow on it. So there might be another one. Let me see. I'll put maybe one here. And so you just do like wee sort of branches, and your brush almost goes kind of dotty. You're not doing a continuous line. You're just getting wee sort of dark bits so that the light comes out. There's wee sort of fan bits goes onto some of them as well. They kind of branch out into wee sort of fan, like a wee kind of fan each one. So I'm going to clean the brush again, put some white on. White being quite chunky, just sit it right next to some of the darks. And because you've done a nice colour in the background, the white will stand out. So this wouldn't work if that was a plain white background. So just go in like that. Right. Now if they become too chunky, just kind of scrape through it with even the end of your brush. You can actually do wee bits like that and just scrape through them like that as well. Okay, so you can do big ones and small ones of that, and then lots of stems. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get quite a lot of the stems in. I need to get all this red off my brush though, from the petals. So I'm going to get loads of, I'm putting a bit of Payne's grey with the yellow, so it gives me a nice green, but lots of yellow on it to show them up as a nice green, and I can just wet that a wee bit more. and they'll work more. So here we are, we're going to start putting in some of the stems. A bit thick because that's quite a big one. We might do one like that, and one like that. So lots of yellow in them as well so that you can see them. We can overlap that a wee bit more with the red there, and make the one there. So what you're going to do, you can hardly see those ones, they'll be so small, and in the distance they'll just be wee scrapings like that. So that's fine to do that. And it fills your board as well. So what I'm going to do as well, this will be drier now, so I can go back in there with some white and some lemon and get a few more of these shooting up through the picture. You need to have this brush quite wet, as I say, because if it's too dry, it'll just drag and it'll just get into a dry line like that. But if you want lots of nice wee stems and things, you can actually just keep doing lots of things like that and then put wee heads on them later on. It's entirely up to you how busy you want to make it. You might only just want a few of them on it. Might be another wee one then there. Just gonna throw everything about a wee bit. You could maybe do a few more thistles. I'll show you how to do the wee tiny daisy ones now. I think it's daisies. But, so that's your small brush. Oh yeah, we're using this more than we thought in this picture. So I'm just going to use the white. And these are dead easy and they work out against this as well. So you're just doing like a wee daisy like that. And do quite a few and then a wee yellow bit. And they don't all need to be sitting in the same bit either. You can maybe just do one that's lying flat like that, or one that's going that way. And we'll put wee yellow bits in the middle of them. Take the white off first so that the yellow stands out. This is lemon, it's not awful strong, but you can put a wee bit of your orange into it to make it a wee bit stronger. So just a wee bit sort of, just to show the centres of them. So you can do as many as you like, and then you can even make some overlap. And as I say, it's just depending how busy you want to make it. This wee brush actually, because it's pointed at the end, it actually has the shape of the wee petal on it, so it's instant. You don't need to draw a shape or anything like that, the brush just does it. And this is quite nice because see that one's picked up different colours underneath, so that's quite nice. So this camouflages a lot of the big stocky leaves that's shooting up out of the picture as well, so you can do wee bunches. And this is quite nice because it's picking up some of the undertones, which is quite nice. And just, you'll get faster at doing them because the brush just does it. Try and overlap some so that they don't look as if they're all sitting like 10 green bottles. Try and overlap them a wee bit and make them look like wee clusters. Once you get the wee yellow bits in them, like an orangey yellow, they'll look better. So you don't want a lot of detail in them, they're quite distant. So sometimes when you get to this point, you need to stand back a wee bit and see how much more you want in the picture, because it's looking pretty busy now. So one of the other things you can do too, you take a wee flat brush and just a wee bit of that kind of purpley colour that we made up, maybe a wee bit more Payne's grey in it. You can put some wee darker shadows on some of the flowers, and that makes the red look better. That's a wee bit too light, so I'm just going to give you a wee bit more red, but you want wee dark shadows in them to make them stand out, especially where the shadows are, and that gives you a nice contrast. A wee bit dark up there. I don't think that's dark enough, so I'm just going to use a Payne's grey on its own there. And and then just come back in with some of my red. And that gives you more of a kind of 3D about them, that you've got a wee bit more shadow going on. So you can play about with it and add a few more wee sort of tones if you like. I quite like the wee lilac tone that was going in. So I'm just going to mix a wee bit this with the white. This might be a wee bit dark, so I'll add a wee bit more white to it. And it's just enough to give you nice wee sort of lilac tones. And you can just sort of smooth them in with your fingers. And some of them just kind of come out of there and it makes it a wee bit softer looking there as well. And sometimes it's just wee bundles of lilac like that. You smudge in, just like wee sort of misty bits. And that breaks down all your green. And it's good to overlap things as much as you possibly can. Even if it drags one of the flowers, it's fine. There you are. So you can add in as much as you like. You can add in more of the flowers, whatever you like. So there you are. That's it. I hope you have fun doing that. Bye bye.